pine.
And I'm the water, and you're listening to A Cup of Tea.
A podcast about exploring life through each other's eyes.
While sharing a cup of tea with you. I don't have my cup of tea.
There it is.
But yeah.
It's right there.
Sharing it with you. This week, every time I think of this week, I think about this week at the round table of dim lighting. No, we're not at a round table of dim lighting. If anybody gets the reference.
I'm sure they, yeah.
I hope they do.
Yeah, hopefully. One of our inspirations. Yeah, so speaking of tea, what are we drinking today? We are again sponsored by the water.
Of course. I am the tea sponsoree.
Well, I mean, a lot of it
Sponsor. I don't know.
We are the sponsorees.
Yes, we are the sponsorees.
A lot of it is that we are doing this at your house.
Yes, it is.
So
we're using my tea collection. Tea collection sounds like I have a shitload of tea, which I don't.
Some tea.
Yeah, well, I have several options.
Yeah.
I really liked your tea, your pumpkin, what was it?
Yeah, pumpkin spice latte, I think. Pumpkin.
No, it's not a pumpkin spice latte. It was.
I mean, no.
It was chai?
Chai. It was a pumpkin chai.
Oh, yeah, that was great.
By David's Tea.
Oh, David's Tea is the best. Yeah, we recommend.
Jinx.
Jesus. Hang on. We need to, this setup that we have, it kind of reminds me of, I was watching.
Wait, we haven't told them what we're drinking.
Yeah, we said Earl Grey.
When?
Like, I don't know, a minute ago? Well, we were drinking Earl Grey with milk. We did. We totally did. Anyway.
We will see about that.
About that, we will see. Earl Grey.
Yeah, with milk, which makes it, I guess, London Fog.
I guess. But wasn't that with... Oh, no, it's not Earl Grey. It's English breakfast tea.
That's right.
Yeah.
They're different somehow.
They are. Yeah. They are.
Well, there you go.
We need someone to fact check us, but...
Yeah.
There's the bergamot thing. The Earl Grey has bergamot, and
the
English breakfast tea doesn't. Jinx, I guess.
I guess.
So, I was watching this episode of The Tripod with the Try Guys, and Zach was. It was basically just Ned, Zach, and this girl whose name I don't remember, but she's a writer and a producer, and she fact-checks their videos, and she worked with them for the Anthony Fauci, I think I pronounced that very strangely, they did this interview with Dr. Fauci, and so she fact-checked the, production thing for them. And Zach was like, oh my god, this setup that Miles has going on is so, complicated, I think, or something, and it just made me think of, moving the computer stuff around, which you can't see the computer. If you're watching the video version, you can see the computer, but it's right in front of us.
Yeah, it's by my feet. I can kind of put my foot somewhere.
Yeah.
There.
without killing it, yeah. So, anyway.
On today's topic of conversation.
Yes.
Well, in today's cup of tea.
Today's cup of tea, yes. So this is something that we've talked about, and I think it's, I don't know, I want to say that it breaks the fourth wall, but it's not like there's a fourth wall, we speak directly to you, our listener, many times, but I was thinking about how we said that we wanted to make this sort of podcast for everybody, not just for girls. And when we were talking about discussing today's subject, I was thinking, this would be an interesting thing to ask to a guy as well. Yeah. Because, so we're talking about beauty, kind of, but beauty and self-image and, the things that, stem from that. And it's inspired by, I would say, our recent hair adventures.
Yeah, I do think it's inspired by that, even though there are several things that come to mind, but we will get there.
Yes, because I had this idea, which I think it was, I don't know if it was last week's cup of tea. this
It is our own pocket.
this multiverse that we have going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a cup of tea, and I didn't want to record the cup of tea. Last week my hair was pink, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think so maybe it was 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to record a cup of tea. I was like, I don't want to have my hair not be the way I want it to be, you know? In general, for the world, like, because I went to physical therapy today, but not today, I mean that day, or that week. And I was like, oh, Jesus, it looks terrible. I don't like it. Because I'm gonna, for
Context.
yeah, for context. In case you don't look at the video version of a cup of tea, my hair is pink. And I've had pink hair for
a while now.
a while. Yeah, like maybe since November. Or something like that.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like it's been longer.
I mean, the thing is, I had pink hair when we were in school.
Okay, there we go.
And then I stopped dyeing it when I went to another semester, exchange semester, because I couldn't keep going with it. So I just like let it, grow out. And then, yeah, I was like, I kind of want to do the pink thing again. I thought, but this time, because I had done the ombre hair sort of thing back when that was a thing. And then this time I wanted it to be more like a balayage sort of thing, where it's like more faded from the top of my head, not just like the tips. Mm-hmm. So I did that, and it worked. One of my friends did it, and it looked great. It was a little bit more pink than I wanted it to at first, but then, it got to like the sweet spot. And then I wanted to redo it a couple of weeks ago. And instead of going to her, because I was like very impatient about it, like I had been wanting to do it for a while and she couldn't. So I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna just go to my grandma's hairdresser, who is she's not very old. I think she's around 60.
Oh, okay.
Like 60 something probably. And she has been doing hair for like 50
her
years
life.
Her entire life. So I thought, she has experience. She will know what I want. She will do it perfectly. And she breaks my heart. Expectations indeed. And it ended up looking like, okay, if you get this reference, the Mexico's president's son, there was this joke going around and they call him Chocoflan.
Ugh. Yeah.
Like that. That's what I pictured in my mind. So it was like the top of my head was brown. And then there was a very clear line that divided that brown original color from the bleached color. It was so bad. Yeah. I almost cried.
She did.
And so I had this whole process of like, why am I crying?
Grieving
why
over
am I,
your hair.
Yeah. Why am I throwing a tantrum? It's just hair. My dad was like, don't worry. It doesn't look that bad. It'll grow again. You can fix it. And I was like, that is also the thing. I can't fix it. Why am I throwing a tantrum if I can fix it? It's a very fixable thing. And I even told him like, if the balayage sort of thing doesn't work, I can just bleach it all and it'll look fine. But yeah, it was.
Did you come to a conclusion as to why you were throwing a tantrum on something that's fixable?
No, I guess it was just like the expectations thing, that I had this vision of myself. Like, I'm stepping on something that you want to say a little bit, but my vision of myself.
Yes,
I'm not saying what.
How dare you? Go on.
I'm not saying what you're gonna say. My vision of myself has, like, I show you the Pinterest picture that I had, I wanted that. I did not get that. So I was very disappointed, very, frustrated, very impatient about when I could probably fix it because I knew that it was not going to happen on the same day or even the day after. Like, I would have to wait, I think, 1 or 2 days. And so I was like, am I going to have to, go out and see people with this hair. And I even I put a beanie on and my brother was laughing about it. Mm-hmm. And my dad was like, the beanie just makes it worse. And I said, no, it does not. I guess the beanie draws more attention to it, but it does not make it worse. But then it got fixed, and I was happy, and I could paint, make it pink again. And yeah, everything was happy again.
See? This is not where I was gonna go with this conversation, but little small tangent just because of the way you were saying it just now. About the self-image and am I gonna have to go into the world not looking the way I see myself? And that just took me to this conversation with people about how, trans people. And because of course, I don't claim to understand.
Yeah.
Although in my own little experience when it comes to that, so theoretically, if you ask me, I would say, it sounds odd. I don't want to sound like I'm appropriating their experience, because I know I'm not. But in my own, self-reflection or whatever, I like this idea of, even psychologically, do you know what and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, right? No expert here. The two spirits thing is?
No.
So on October 2019, before the pandemic, me and a few of my classmates from psychology, we went to Canada as a school trip. And we went to a center, and I don't remember the name of it, but there was this trans person that was explaining to us a lot of the things about the community and things like that. No, wait, they were not a trans person. They were... I don't remember.
Androgynous?
No, I think it wasn't binary, non-binary. I think that's what they were. Yeah, non-binary. I see. Which in a sense, I find it interesting, and I find it not as radical as it may sound. But my point is that they were explaining to us the the two-spirit thing, which is something very, I guess, that originated in Canada, because from the native people there,
First Nations stuff.
The two-spirit was more there's an animal spirit and a human spirit within everybody of us. And then I guess the LGBT community took it to mean that we all have both a female and a male spirit in us. And, psychologically and everything, I'm we totally do. It's like the yin yang. You don't get, weirded out or freaked out about thinking that there's a yin and a yang in you. And it's just these two opposing forces, or rather not opposing, but complementary forces, and I like that idea.
Yeah.
And I'm very comfortable saying that I'm a girl. I don't mind it. And I don't think I would say that I am a boy, but I don't mind sort of taking into consideration that I have a male energy.
Yeah. I think I know where you're going. And I guess, we were talking about this the other day when I was asking you about the gender fluid, non-binary thing that I didn't understand. I was like, there are many things that I don't quite understand about it. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to be too close-minded or anything. I would like to understand it, but I don't know that I can fully do it. Mm-hmm. Because that's not something that I experience, right? I do feel like I am a girl. Mm-hmm. It's like what you're saying, I am a girl. I wouldn't say that I'm a boy. I don't feel, but I do have times where I have felt tomboyish, for example, where I know that if I dress a certain way, it looks not as feminine, probably, Mm-hmm. But that's fine. I don't care about that. It's
Yeah, it doesn't mess with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
With my identity.
It kind of like I thought of that because of how, the hair thing was such a big deal for you in that moment. It was like, I don't want to go out. And then I thought like, I guess this is like a little tiny bit of what it could be if you see yourself one way, but then to go out in the world and like I'm a girl, but then people say that I look like a boy and that I am a boy, and I'm like, but I'm not, that kind of thing.
Interesting.
It just made me think of that and how insane. Not that they're insane, that's not what I mean.
No, but it's like, it's a little bonkers, like the notion of it, maybe, I guess.
Yeah, in my very
limited experience.
Yeah, for sure. In my very, very limited experience, I feel like this whole identity thing with like gender identity, it's a process. And at some point, because, the way I see it, right? And again, it's just the way I look at it. With a lot of phenomenons, it's like, for example, like feminism. Since women have been oppressed for so long, and right now there's feminism, and it seems to be, there's been feminism for a while, but it goes higher up and it's increasing, and it sometimes it's radical and whatever. And I think it's just a curve, and it's getting to a point so that they are noticed, things get fixed, things get changed and stuff, and then it's going to get to a normal, more
like
stable place where there might not be a necessity for feminism because we're all going to be equal. Exactly, jinx. Haha. So I think it's a similar thing, the way LGBT and gay people have been oppressed for so long, and now it's like, oh, now we have freedom. So now we are, as society, we're exploring this many, like I don't have to be A or B, so I can, and then all of these different terms for people identifying with them come into existence. And I think at some point it's just going to be, we're all people. Yeah. We're all humans. And it doesn't have to be like, I'm a boy or I'm a girl. Yeah. What does that mean?
I was talking to somebody that, like, I think it was, I don't know if it was my dance teacher or somebody else, that we arrived to the conclusion that, for us as millennials, I think we are at that point where we're saying like, we're going to become, like, we have become more accepting and more open-minded and stuff. And for the Gen Z people, that's what they like that's what their reality is like.
That's their normal.
Yeah.
I think we might have actually talked about it because I think I was telling you about my niece.
Oh, right. How, yeah.
Maybe. And how we've become accepting of like, oh, my friend who is gay or bisexual. Yeah. And she has a girlfriend now. She's a girl, that's what I mean. Of course, because English, anyways. And we've become accepting. But then my niece is telling me about like her in middle high or whatever, and how she has friends, and her girlfriends have girlfriends and things like that. And it's not a question of accepting them.
Yeah, it's just they are.
That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
So that's what I think it would be. But it just kind of shocked me in a moment of like you with your hair being like, well, what if it's not the hair? What if it's not like a super fixable thing? Yeah. And it's just like, well, I don't feel like I am the person that I look like.
Yeah.
So it was, we can go back.
Interesting tangent.
Yeah. On the thing of, like you were saying, the self-image, barging in on my thing.
Oh my God.
Was because when we were talking about this topic, to bring it into a cup of tea, and I said, you're telling me about your hair and your pink conundrum. Yeah. And in my experience, it was about this, like when I think of Mika, when I think of myself, I think of me as having long hair. And I've always had, like, it was never, when I was growing up, there was never, I'll cut my hair.
Yeah.
I did one time cut my hair, but it was more of a, not my decision, kind of. I was visiting, like, my grandma up north and with all the family, and it was a thing that everybody was cutting their hair in, like, kind of this bobby look. And I did it because everybody was like, you do it. I was like, fine. And I did it and I hated it. So, yeah, it's always, I've had this self-image of myself that I have long hair. And I think it comes a little bit with my, like, young self sort of fascination with this kind of, like, Renaissance movies and stuff. You know, that kind of thing. So it was never an idea of having short hair.
Yeah.
And maybe even, like, I don't know that I really associated it with it, but maybe even Disney princesses, you know, and that kind of thing. So I always had, and Mika has always had, long hair. And then recently, this year, I was like, maybe, you know what?
When
sure.
Did you cut your hair?
Like around March, May, something like that, I think.
Yeah.
Not that long ago. So yeah, I was like, what if Mika had short hair? Like, what would that Mika be like? And this time it was, like, my decision, and I thought about what I wanted, instead of that last time where it was like people making me do it when I was little. So yeah, and it's been nice. Interestingly enough, for myself, I have found that when I cut my hair, I felt sexier.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was not expecting that because I had this previous idea that long hair was sexy, and then somehow, when I cut it, I was like, no, you know what? Like, I feel sexier with short hair than I did with long hair.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because I thought about, like, I remember I cut my hair. Like, when I was... Yeah, you always had long hair. And when we were in high school, I had cut it. Like, I had always also had long-ish hair. Maybe not as long as yours. I think you always had longer hair than I did.
Yeah, I've always had, like, to my waist long hair.
And then I had, like, below shoulder length hair or something. And then I moved here and I cut it. And I wanted, because my mom had never let me do, like, the layer thing. And so I was finally able to do it. And I did it, and I also did, like, a perm thing, which now I look back.
Like curly?
What was I thinking? What? Yeah. Which I, like, honestly, I didn't even need it, I guess. Like, you know, my hair's, like, wavy.
Yeah.
Depending on what I do with it. But, yeah, so I had, like, a wavy, permy, layering hair in high school. Which, now I look back on it and I'm like, oh, God, that looks terrible. But I guess
I do not remember this.
And then I just let it grow again. Until the first semester
of college.
Yeah. I think it was first semester. Because I remember my dad would always, like, mock me when I did the, like, bun on top of my head. And he would say, like, I had dodo hair. Yeah, which I thought was really funny.
Because it was short?
Yeah, because I would always have, like, some little strand poking out. Yeah. And then that's when the lob started to become a trend, I think. And it was like, that looks so cool and, like, edgy. And I liked that was very different from the layer thing that I had. Now it's, like, choppy. And I don't know if some guy that is listening to this will know what we're talking about. But it's, like, just, you know, like, straight cut. And you can see sort of, like, the edge of the hair. And I was like, I like how that looks. And the, like, wavy thing. And I even found, I think he is the stylist that made it a trend. A guy called acotcast. And I was in love with it. I was like, I want to So I cut it. And I even thought of, there was a point where I was doing that and I thought of this, well, she's technically my aunt, but she's like my age. So she had she's, maybe 5 years older than I am. And she had really pretty hair. And one day she went bald. And I was like, what?
Like bald?
Like bald, yeah, like shaved head bald.
Why?
I don't remember why. I don't know.
Like
she was going through something.
I mean, sometimes I've wanted to do it.
Yeah. And so
I feel like at some point in my life, I will try it.
So I was at that point where I was like, do I want to go bald? And so because I was not ready for that level of commitment, I just cut it to a lob. And I remember that when it was the same hairdresser lady that ruined it for me this time. I mean, to be honest, she also fixed it, but, you know. And I remember her cutting, like, I don't know, maybe 20 centimeters, 10, 15 centimeters of hair. And I was like, wow, that is so much hair. That is insane. And I remember this thing that I came to school. Like, I went to cut my hair in the morning, and then in the afternoon I had class. And she did my hair. Like, she did wavy stuff or something. And one of my friends, she is no longer my friend, but Gomez.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we're no longer friends. Yeah. Anyway, we can share that story later on. But she was like, what did you do? You know, and it was not like a, oh my God, you look great sort of comment. It was more like a, why did you change your hair kind of thing? And I was like, because I wanted to.
Why else?
Yeah. And I was so happy with it. I was in love with my hair. Yeah. Like I don't know that I will ever have longer hair than I have right now. I don't know, maybe. We'll see. But I am really a fan of this thing.
I feel like you've had that length
for a while.
Wow. Jinx.
Oh, Jesus. And then was like, okay, now it'll be pink. And I was also really happy with pink.
Yes. You have been.
Yes. So, yeah, I don't know. For me, hair's always been kind of like a cool thing that I can mess around with, and that is a big part of how I want to like present myself to the world, sort of thing, you know? And it sort of makes me think about how you were saying the Renaissance thing that you've always been into, which, yeah, you have. It's hilarious now that you've mentioned it. I hadn't thought about it in such a long time, but like, I think of me having this sort of hair as like more edgy and more like adventurous rather than, you know, like the
princessy.
Yeah. Like, oh, you're such a nice girl image, sort of.
I there's so many times in my life where I've been like, I like two opposing things, or I am two opposing things. Because I have always, when I was little, been very into the whole like Renaissance-y thing, and like my bedroom is an antique French bedroom and stuff like that. But at the same time, I've never, well, I guess it depends. I was like, no one would say that I'm like a nice, good girl. No. But you know what? Like, my mom would.
Yeah.
Because I was never, you know, like a partying, drinking, going out girl. I was like, I'll read in my room, in my couch with the tea and blanket. Yeah. That's the image my mom has of me growing up. Yeah. I was just not... I've never been into following authority. That's the only thing. That's where I'm not a good girl. Where was I going with this?
I don't know.
Yeah, so I have the Renaissance-y thing, and that was always my idea of, like, the look, especially with my hair. Even though I feel like my personality might be more edgy than what the look of me
conveys.
Yes, exactly. And you know what? Like a year ago or something, especially during the pandemic, that I started really getting into Red Table Talk and looking at Willow do all sorts of things with her hair. And like when she was little, like the whole thing where she did whip my hair.
Oh, right.
And then the amazing protest against Will Smith of shaving it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wish I had been able to be crazy with my hair when I was little. Because I was a little crazy with my hair later on. The first time that I dyed my hair, it was the whole, I don't know if you remember, where I had, if I had met you then. I don't remember when in my life this was. That I did my tips.
We hadn't met. No.
Pink and blue.
No, I think that was when you were in Canada or something.
My mom did it, so it was here. So maybe it was in middle school, I guess. I don't know. But that's the first like crazy thing my mom let me do, and she did it herself. And then I started doing the purple hair.
Purple hair? I don't remember that.
You did know me when I had purple hair.
When was that?
College, I think.
Purple hair?
Not like my whole hair, but I had like bits here and there that were purple.
Oh, right. Yeah, I remember that.
There you go.
Like purple strands.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Because my mom was very against the whole like bleaching thing. So I could only do like bits here and there. And then I've had my red hair for
a long time.
A few years,
yeah.
I think. But yeah, I did try to have dreadlocks when I lived at the preserve.
I remember you had one.
I had 4 in the back of my
something?
head. I had 4.
Yeah.
But my boss at the preserve didn't want me to have them, so I couldn't go to a salon to actually get them. Yeah. And then I had those in the back just like hiding. And then I came back and my mom was like, no, you need to cut that. I was like, fine. But I wish I had been able to do crazy things with my hair. Because at the end of the day, that's what I realized when I was looking at Willow and like doing all this stuff that she's done with her hair. I'm like, that is so cool.
Yeah.
Being playful with it. Because I feel what I got growing up from my mom was like, no. Your hair needs to be pretty and presentable and not crazy, So
yeah, I got that too. Because my mom also wouldn't let me do any weird thing with it.
Mm. And especially when I was a kid, like I could get now, I guess, not being as crazy, which I still think it's a good time to get crazy with my hair. Or at any point, actually, get crazy with my hair. My craziest right now is the cutting of it.
Yeah.
But especially like as a kid, like in elementary, kind of be all sorts of crazy with my hair. Mm-hmm. I would love that.
Yeah. But I will. Okay. I think it's kind of funny that when you just mentioned the feeling sexier with short hair, I was thinking of there's this. She's not I would call her my friend. It's more like an acquaintance. A girl who was with me in Sweden. And she had super long hair.
Longer than the waist thing?
I don't remember exactly, but like maybe waist length. And I just recently, it was her birthday a couple of weeks ago, and I saw a photo that she posted with a new look, like highlights and short hair, like the lob also length, and she looks so different. But she looks really great. And I was telling one of my friends, I was like, wow, she looks like she aged up, kind of. Like she looks older, but not like old bad. Yeah. It's more like she grew up and she's a woman now or something.
Yeah. I did kind of get that feel as well, like myself when I cut my hair.
So I think you sort of have that sort of same thing.
Yeah.
Like where I I like the hair. I kind of didn't picture when you said that you wanted to cut it short. I was like, what are you doing? And I was like, yeah, I'm a fan.
Like right now, I feel like it's at a weird, awkward place. It's a little longer because it should be higher up when I first cut it. And right now it's a little grown. And right now I'm at a point where like I want it long again, but I want to be more playful with it as long hair. Interesting. Because when I was a kid and I had my real long hair, I was very into, this Gloria Trevi song of like Pelo Suelto.
Oh, yeah.
That was totally my jam. And my mom would always, be behind me, just like, take care of your hair, do something with your hair. And I was like, nah, this is it. Wild and free. I am a wild child. And then, now, college and even probably high school. Not high school, but, high school. It was most of the time my hair is in a bun.
Yeah.
Whenever you see me, it's probably in a bun. And that was it. And I guess that was partly why I was a little tired of it. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to cut it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do feel, I guess it's along the lines of the sexy thing. The growing up, the feeling growing up.
Yeah.
But now I feel like I can go into the long hair renewed in a new way.
I see.
It's so, you know what? I wanted to mention, now that we're talking about hair specifically.
Yeah.
In one of the Red Table Talks that I saw, they're talking to this girl from Sex and the City.
There's 4 of them.
I know. I guess you don't know the actresses' names.
I mean, Sarah Jessica Parker.
Sure, it's not that one.
I feel like I know them.
Well, it's the brunette one. Not the blonde who's Samantha. And not the redhead. And not Sarah Jessica Parker.
What's her name? I don't even remember the character's name. That's a shame.
Yeah. We should just watch Sex and the City again.
Yeah, I started watching it recently again.
Oh, it's so much fun.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited for the new...
the new season.
Yeah, the new stuff. Okay, anyways, so the brunette one.
Yeah.
Yeah. She adopted a black kid.
Yes.
So the Red Table Talk is about, like, should white parents adopt black kids?
Mm-hmm.
I really liked it. And she talks about all the stuff that she had to go through about specifically culture. And I guess the adoption agency is the ones that make them go through all of that stuff. And they had to take a bunch of courses. And one of, there's some that you could choose from. There's all these courses on, black culture, I guess. And you had to choose a certain amount, I guess. And one of them was about hair.
Mm-hmm.
And Jada was like, oh, wow, really? And she's like, yeah, because it's such a big part of their culture that you need to learn and you need to know so that they can grow up as part of the black community and not, as the kids of white parents.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so cool. And... You know that lately there's been this conversation with Pablo about cultural appropriation.
Yeah.
Because he's looking at it in school.
Oh, yes. It has been a thing.
It has been such a topic. And, I'm on the side of sharing and stuff, but I don't like the cultural appropriation part of it.
Yeah.
But I would like it to... I guess we, as Mexicans, probably had some sort of hair cultural thing. Well, I guess, the braids and the stuff. But definitely as Whitexicans that we are, technically, even though we don't identify as Whitexicans. But we've definitely lost roots with indigenous people. Yeah. In Mexico. So if there is some sort of hair thing, because I do remember in one of my trips to Canada, they were teaching me about how for Native Americans. I don't know if in Canada or in the US or both of them, or which tribe it is, that it means something like marital status if you have 2 braids or 1 braid if you're a girl or if you're a boy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I don't remember which one's which, but it's like if you're a man and you have 2 braids, it means that you're looking for a person. And if you're a girl and you have 1 braid, it means that you're single. Something along those lines. It might be the other way around. But yeah, like it meant something.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder, maybe we should do some research on this.
Yes.
Or if someone wants to share it with us, it will make us very happy.
Yeah.
But just the whole idea that hair can be so important for a culture. And because I remember when I was little and I would play dresser with my mom, I would make her suffer. Because she made me suffer. She would like always do my hair in like 2 pigtails.
Yeah.
But she would like, I don't know if it's a Mexican joke, like an inside Mexican joke, where moms just like pull your hair so freaking tight and like put gel on it and stuff.
Ugh, yeah.
And like it hurts you so much. You have a headache in school and then the teachers are trying to like loosen it.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So when I played dresser with her, I was like, this is how it feels. And it was a game and it was fun and whatever. But I don't feel, and sure, it was probably bonding without me realizing it. Mm-hmm. But I wish there had been, now looking back on it, a little more purpose, a little more like telling me stories about my ancestors kind of thing. Even about my grandma, who I don't have the closest relationship with, which is not her fault. It is mostly mine. Nothing against her or my family up north. I got taken from there when I was little. Like my mom moved to the center of Mexico. And I would only go and visit them on like Christmas and stuff. And there weren't like a lot of cousins that were around my age. So I felt very out of place whenever I would go and so on and so forth. Separate story. But yeah, I wish there had been more purpose and more awareness to our culture and that kind of thing. Or even the bonding kind of stuff.
I see. Interesting.
Yeah.
Because like, for example, I do, and on that sort of bonding experience thing, I remember that when I was little, my grandma used to braid my hair. And she would tell me that she braided her grandma's hair. But she had like this long ass hair, like waist length hair. So she would, like, her grandma would be like, oh, please, sweetie, you braid my hair because you do it so nicely or something. And so she braided it. I think she made a bun after it. And that was like a bonding experience for her with her grandma. And then she did it with me. So it was also like the same, but reversed, kind of. And then I remember this very clearly of being in elementary. And I think there was this thing where you had to have like some hair to go to school. Like you had to.
So I couldn't have my pelo suelto?
Yeah, no, you couldn't. You had to have a ponytail or pigtails or something.
Ugh.
As part of the uniform.
See, this is where I'm not a good girl.
And my mom used to do my hair, but she also did she pulled it so tight. I hated it. But I liked the experience of having her do my hair, except for the pulling parts. And then I started learning how to do it, and she was like, oh yeah, look, she can do her own hair. Like, she was really proud of that. Okay. And I thought that was funny. Like, that she would be like, proud that I could do it myself kind of thing. You know? And like it showed my independence, sort of.
But did you at any point, I don't know, did you have any feelings of like, oh, but now I miss the time when she...
No, because she would do it when I asked.
Okay.
Like, if I wanted her to brush my hair, she would brush my hair. And I mean, she was never a lot into, like, braiding or doing hairdos or anything. But like I would do her hair if she wanted it to be ironed out, or like I used to dye her hair or stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that sort of thing we did. Like she would never ever have let me dye my hair, but I dyed hers, and I did the ironing thing, or she did it to me, or so that. And this is like completely off this thing. It's along the hairline, but not on this that we're talking about. But I was thinking when you said the hair thing, and there was a point, you know how man buns and men with longer hair are a thing now, and they're really hot. But that's not the point. The point is that they're a thing now, and there was
how she likes it.
You've always known that I like the man. Anyway,
well, I knew, but now they know.
Now you know. There was a time when my brother was not trying to like grow his hair, but he could do a little bit of a man bun. It was hilarious. Yeah. But my grandma hated it so much. She was like, "You look very like unkempt and dirty," and I'm like, "He does not," you know. And then when I sometimes like I'm watching movies or I'm looking at like for example, when I'm watching Good Mythical Morning, and she's like, "Oh, these two guys that have crazy hair," and I'm like, honestly, Link's hair is not that crazy. Red's, he has longer hair than I do probably. Yeah. And the beard and everything, so it looks insane, like crazy California guy. But I think that is an interesting like. Of course, there's a generational thing going on there where my grandma just thinks that men with long hair are gross. But now we think of them as being hot, you know? And also for guys, like I know that one of my cousins grew his hair also. Like maybe like mine, probably. Kika's brother. And he had it so long for such a long time, and then he got it and I was like, oh wow, you're a completely different person. Yeah. So I think it's a cool thing that nowadays I think
anyone can have whatever they want.
Basically. Like it's I feel like we are very accepting of whatever you want to do with your locks. It's fine. You know? And also, I don't know, I mean, I don't have that experience. I don't think that I will ever have it, but I was also looking at Zach, again, from the Try Guys, had this series, I think it was a series, of how he had hair, what's the name of that? Like, implanted hair, or you know what I mean? And I thought that was...
Hair implants?
Yeah, hair implants. I thought it was so interesting that it was such a big thing for him. And not just for him, but like for men in general that have a receding hairline. Yeah. And they think so much of it. Like one of my cousins, another one, who's a pilot, was so stressed out during school that he started, like, he would do like, you know, like, cancer patient sort of thing where he would like run his hand through his hair and or see it on the pillow, I think also. So no, he just shaves it all.
I agree.
Which I think he's come to accept. I don't know that he's completely a fan of it because he used to have like awesome hair. Aww. And I loved it. He had like, you know, like curly sort of voluminous hair. Yeah. And it was such a thing for him when he started losing his hair.
Oh, so sad. So it's something that runs in his family?
I think it is, partially it's this thing that runs in his family because my uncle, his dad, also, he has like 2 millimeter long hair probably. he keeps it very, very short. And he has a very receding hairline. But I also think it was very much stress-induced.
Oh, wow.
So the combination of the two things just made it so that he, being 24, 25, maybe even less, 23, had to start shaving his head because he was losing his mane.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, and I the thing to me is like, I think you look great anyway. But I do get just how I got that, oh, my hair is ruined because I don't want to, with the bleaching thing. Of course, mine is fixable, right? Quote unquote. And his is not. I don't know. I think it's such a wild
fixable
experience.
too, like hair implants.
Yeah. But that is a much more radical sort of fix treatment than just more bleach.
Yeah, I mean, the easiest thing, because, one of my ex-boyfriends.
Yeah.
When I met him, he, tried to grow his hair, but...
He did?
When I met him, he didn't shave his head. So he kind of not had a lot of hair on the top of his head. But he just tried to, grow it, but it was not happening. Yeah. And I was like, you should just shave it.
Yeah.
And I think at some point he embraced it, and he could grow, a really nice beard. So...
I think that's a funny look on, not funny, haha.
But a bald man with a beard?
Yeah.
Why?
I just find it ironic. They have no hair on the top and, full hair on the bottom. Kind of thing.
I see that. But, I think in him it looked good. And I think once he realized that he looked better bald, he really embraced it. And I think that's probably his look until now.
Yeah.
I would imagine. But yeah, I don't know if it took that I suggested it for him to try it.
Yeah.
Or I have no idea if he at some point was in denial and was like, no, this is my hair. I don't want it to go away. Even though it's not really there. It doesn't look that good. And I was just you look, why don't you just shave it?
Yeah.
And so, I don't know what that experience, because I didn't really talk to him about it. But he did embrace it, and that was more of his look. And he did look very good. So.
Yeah. I also see that sort of, I think I was listening to a podcast or so, there was something where they were mentioning this hair thing for men. I think it was a club or something that exists somewhere. I think I feel like I need to find it. And if somebody knows what I'm talking about, tell us.
I wonder if there's someone out there these ladies are not prepared at all. They're just asking us to do all the research for them.
No. We're trying to make it interactive.
Nice spin.
Yeah. Where they were saying the men hair club or something. That is about, how men handle their hair and their self-image and all that stuff. Because it is not something that is widely talked about as much as it is for women. Women have, there's this thing in the media that you always talk about what women wear or what their hair looks like, or I think there was something about when Angela Merkel met, I don't know if it was Trump or Putin or who it was, or Justin Trudeau, but they were talking about her skirt rather than what the meeting was about.
Or the whole Hollywood thing of actresses in interviews and people asking them about what they're wearing or who they're with and stuff like that. And it's are you asking that to all the men?
Yeah. So along the same line, I think for men, the counterpart to that is that because these are not things that are discussed as much, maybe they don't feel I mean, some of them do, but maybe some of them don't feel like they can. Yeah, they can talk about it, or it's worth discussing, or something like, oh, maybe it's too, it's not important. It doesn't matter what my hair looks like or what my face looks like, because they can also have facial hair, because I know that, for example, my brother, and I don't think he would be very happy about me being very vocal about his endeavors, but
he would not.
He was trying to grow his beard, and he had that going on for a while until he finally achieved the look he wanted. And I think he was very happy with it. But my dad was like, why are you doing that?
But I feel like that might be, like now beards are like such a thing.
Yeah.
And I think for the older generation that your dad is, not even like my brother, both my brothers, I feel could totally be in the, facial hair. Definitely my oldest brother. He's definitely into that lumberjack look. But my dad, that kind of thing of like, you're not presentable, you're not a gentleman kind of thing, classy.
Yeah.
If you have a beard, you have to be like shaved.
Which is, it's so stupid. Because if you think about the gentlemanly look of the, 17th century, it was like wearing a wig, having long hair, sometimes having a beard, sometimes not. So it's super fluid and it changes every
that's
time.
What I think it is.
Like, bleh,
it just
you can
changes.
do whatever you want.
But it's about, like it changes. So it's just like if you're in this bubble of time of like what is trendy in your time, then if you do something outside of that bubble, then then that's outrageous.
Yeah.
But right now, I guess we can do whatever.
Yeah.
To some extent, depends on the people around you.
Yes.
But also, I've thought about this because I've noticed that men around me, just in general, the men that I have met, not all of them, there are some that are very like image oriented, and like, I don't want to say metrosexual, but, along the lines of that, just being very careful about their image, which is very appreciated.
Yeah.
But in general, the men that I've met or that are around me, they don't care. And I don't, like, this bothers me a little. I think you can tell. But I don't know if it comes from the fact that we've been taught to care so much. And I'm like, why do they not have to? Or if it's like, you could put a little more effort into it. So I don't know which one. I think the two.
I think it's
more
really
upset.
Funny. Because I was thinking of the guys that I've liked.
Yeah.
I think, I remember one of them would come into school on his PJs. So there was this thing of like, I know you can be very, like, you can look very polished and, what's that word of like, he can clean up nicely.
Yeah.
But at the same time, 4 days out of 5, he will come to class in Crocs and like, I don't know if they're just sweats or they're his PJs and
or both.
Or yeah. And so I was like, like you can look so cute if you put a little bit more effort. And I agree. School is stressful. Sometimes you just don't want to wear anything too fancy.
Like, a lot of times I went to college and, like, not my PJs per se, but pants.
Yeah.
And just, like, sweats.
Like, I would do that as well. But then, and on the other hand, I had, one of the other guys that I've liked, it's like, he waxes his eyebrows. It's hilarious, the spectrum of...
Yeah.
And to me, the eyebrow thing was like, that's a little bit weird. But okay. Like, I'm not going to judge you on it. But it's only because
we're not used to it.
Yeah.
But the same way that, girls do it. Like, they can do it.
So I was like, it's fine. And I agree that it does look better when you do it. So, whatever.
There you go. Yeah. But along the lines of, these two thoughts that I have on the matter, the one about, like, how come they don't have to, or they don't care. They're not taught to care as much as we do. Because, you know, since my brothers, I remember, like, seeing them. Okay, so I guess they're both kind of narcissists. And, like, a little immature into it. My middle brother more than my older brother. Way more. Way more. And he's like all about the looks and all about the ladies and that kind of stuff. But I remember he would like get ready for a date or whatever, and he had nose hairs, and I'm like, how are you ready for your date? That makes no sense to me. But you know, I do think the nose hair thing, like, I don't know if no one taught them that. I don't want to say they should, because nobody should do anything that they don't want to do. But it's those kinds of things. Or you know what gets me a lot of the times? When I see guys with their belly out. Not necessarily like out of their shirt or whatever. Just like it's not tucked in like we do. Oh. And I don't know if it's because you and I are dancers. And that's something that it's like always, you know, have your tummy tucked in because you're dancing. But I would think, I would think that it's a general girl thing. Because even...
No. I mean...
I do think, you don't, that it's something that, you know, your mom says, like, tuck your tummy in.
It is something that, I agree.
Even if you're not dancing.
I have seen so many women that look like they're pregnant when they're not. Because they don't stand upright or straight and they have, like, their tummy out.
Well, yeah.
And to me, that is so...
But I feel like... Well, I don't know. Like, I don't know if you're... Because I would think that's more of, like, older women. I don't know that I've seen many young or, like, our generation kind of people.
I am going to be an asshole about
Wouldn't be the first time.
This is not a politically correct comment. I don't know that...
Are you roasting someone?
I am not roasting someone. I shouldn't. I mean, I guess I'm way...
Like, I want to know your point, but don't be mean.
Okay, I'm not going to be mean. Okay, I have seen many women.
Like, our age, older? Like, what kind of women?
Like, our age.
Okay.
Any age, basically.
But you've seen... Okay,
but
sure.
maybe not our social circle, I want to say.
Okay.
Of, like... See, that's where I come off as a white-can, spoiled brat. Classic. No, not classic. It's not racist. It's not racism. Classism, yeah. Like, poor women or, like, lower middle class women who don't... Maybe their sense of... what a good image is different than ours. I do think that is the case.
I mean, or they have other things to worry about.
Yeah, that also. Where that is the thing. Like, you see them walking down the street with, like, it's not like a crop top thing where you're purposefully, you know, dressing a certain way where you are showing your stomach. And that's part of the look. It's more like... Their jeans are too tight and maybe a little too low-rise, and then their shirt doesn't fully cover that, and so you can see the muffin top. Yeah. And they are not, tugging in their stomach. So that, to me, is like, that is something common that I have seen.
You know what I saw the other day? I was, like, taking my nephew to the doctor, and he was, like, a little chubby. Yeah. But he has his pants, and I think this is a guy.
The doctor, you mean?
The doctor. Yeah. Not my nephew.
Yeah, no, he's a stick.
Yeah, he's a stick. And he had his pants, like, tight very at the hip. And I don't know if that's just the way guys' pants are.
I think, that's a...
And it just makes it easier for the belly to come out.
They have, like, a beer belly thing going on. Yeah. It's a general...
But I feel like, you know, if I was... Because, okay, when I was growing up, I was a lot chubbier than the skinny person I am right now. Yeah. And it was such a thing, like, for me. And I would try to get my jeans to cover, like, the top of my belly button, let's say, if I had a belly, instead of what I guess they do, and I guess they don't care.
Yeah.
Because it's under their belly and their belly's coming out and you can like see it over the jeans and like it's not a thing.
Yeah. But I think that's, I don't know.
Wait, are we like body shaming, man? I don't want to do that either.
No. I don't want, yeah, that's why I was like, I don't want to be mean to like say, you're like these girls that I'm mentioning that dress like that. And
well, I think I'm just, this is my experience and I'm just saying, I had such a trauma and I see other people. And
that's also, I had the same sort of trauma where I see men that have beer bellies.
Yeah.
And I would be, there were times when I would be like, oh, just like pull your pants up. Just...
And tuck your tummy in.
Tuck your tummy in. It just looks so much better, And, like, now I am more like, I don't really care. Like,
yeah, whatever.
Like, I've embraced it, I guess, or I've grown
everybody can do their thing.
Yeah. Yeah, you do you.
But it is a thought in the back of my mind.
Yeah, it is a thing. Like, and I don't know if it goes along the same lines of like stand up straight, like
I do
back,
think that a lot of it is that.
Yeah, me
and
too.
That's something. Oh my god, yes. This is something. This is one of the points of where I wanted to get to in this conversation, because we mentioned that it was about beauty, and I think we have this conversation as society. And of course, I'm speaking of the society I live in, right?
Yes.
And the social circle around me, so on and so forth. So there's this conversation of like, oh, beauty is superficial and like you should not care. And like, or at some point in my life, that was the message I was sent. And I've come to terms with it where it's like, no, you know what? Like, it's a balance. On the one hand, like, don't make it like
everything.
Your looks are not everything. And you should not obsess about it or like, worry too much about it so that you don't care about your health or you don't care about feelings or whatever. Don't go there, but don't also go to like, I don't care about what I look. I don't care if I don't shower in a week. I don't care, I don't care if I don't dress up in a good way, because beauty is something that humans appreciate. And it doesn't have to be superficial beauty, because nature is so beautiful and we don't look at it as superficial.
Yeah.
We look at health, and that is beautiful. So yeah, I don't appreciate this whole thing. Oh, and yesterday we were talking about this meme of like the bimbo that's like walking down the street or whatever. Yes. And it's like 4 or 5 girls. And at first it's like this super hot bimbo in high heels and a tiny dress and long blonde hair. And at some point in like the second or third girl, she stumbles upon a book. And then the next girl is a little more covered up and she like picks up the book, and then the next girl is a lot more covered up and she's reading the book or whatever. And I remember the first time I saw this picture and I was like, you know what? Fuck that. I don't appreciate whoever draw this picture. I don't appreciate your message. Because no, it's not one or the other. And there's nothing wrong with the bimbo, and there's nothing wrong with being, I don't know, like a geeky covered up nerd.
Yeah.
Like, both have value. Both are beautiful. They're both smart. Like, there's no. I'm so mad at that person. Or whoever taught us that message.
Yeah.
Because I think growing up, probably, I don't know that this is something that's super thought through in my mind. But a little bit. So it's this idea, I think I probably struggled a lot unconsciously about my self-image, and if I wanted to be like the pretty Renaissance person, and then I wanted to be, like I'm more of a introvert, shy, nerd, geeky person, and I couldn't match them. Like I couldn't get them to be who I am. And I feel like now I can embrace like trying to make myself pretty and be the pretty self that I am while being geeky and nerdy and, you know, that kind of stuff. Because I remember growing up, like one of my best friends, Nikki, she was always more of like the one that I saw put more effort into her looks.
Mm-hmm.
But she knew how to do it. She always knew. She's always known, to my perspective, she's always known how to dress and make herself pretty. And she was into makeup way before I was. And I admire that about her. And her Instagram is like super pretty and she's so pretty and I love her so much. But it's something that growing up I wasn't comfortable with because I was kind of running away from this, like not the bimbo image per se, because I don't think I ever thought of Nikki as being a bimbo. But I was kind of running away from this beauty superficial thing. So I'm going to run away from the beauty thing, which I think is... Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're
I'm
back?
fine. Yeah, I'm back.
Okay. So running away from this beauty idea because I wanted to focus on the being smart, being geeky, not the being pretty thing. Yeah. And I think a lot of it was that I was always super friendly with guys growing up. And that got very misunderstood. And, you know, there were some incidents in like middle school or even elementary with teachers. There was, Jesus, we're going into this topic. There was a day where we're playing like tag or something along those lines. And one of my guy friends started tickling me. And one of the teachers saw it and she reprimanded me. And I was like, what are you talking about? I don't understand. And she's like, don't play like that with boys. And I was like, what? I seriously did not know what she was talking about. Yeah. And I guess now I could imagine that she thought or saw that when he was tickling me, he was trying to touch me. Mm-hmm. But I didn't get that. Yeah. I was just playing with my friend. Yeah. And there was this other teacher who I don't have anything against her per se, but her words have scarred me. I have such a thing about this. And it's, in Spanish, it was like, no hagas cosas buenas que parezcan malas. You have no idea how upset it makes me. Like, it is deeply engraved in me. And it's just like, don't do good things that seem bad. Yeah. And it's like, what are you talking about? Where's the logic behind it? If I'm doing something good, then why is your perception of it being bad should stop me? Yeah. No, like it did not make sense in my head. And people have said it to me a few times in my life and it keeps getting under my skin. And I'm just like, no, that is not the way. This is not a message you should be telling me. Yeah. So yeah, I think because incidents like that, I was running away from the beauty and like the boys and that kind of thing. Interesting. Yeah. I got very into it. Yeah. I was like, we're wrapping up. No, we're not. But yeah, I'm just gonna say that I'm happy where I am right now. I think I'm still learning, but I'm in a more comfortable space when it comes to like being beautiful and seeking beauty and with being my personality and all of it in one tiny package. I don't know. I don't want to take this into a 2-hour long episode. But just now when you were saying what was it? Like the body shaming thing. I think it's along the lines of like body shaming and self-image perceptions or if, well, you know what? I'm sorry. Like, I don't mean to interrupt, but I just want to say this little thing. Yeah. Where it's like, if we can all accept that, for example, where we are coming from, of like saying that, you know, guys don't have to tuck their tummy in. And it's not our intention to body shame them.
Yeah.
So this whole idea of like, what someone says or someone does speaks more about them than you. That's a little bit of that. Because it's not that I don't like if they don't tuck their tummies in because of them. Like, I'm perfectly fine. Yeah. And you do you, and I will love you. Like, it's not about you. It's about my trauma. And me having to tuck my tummy in. Yeah. And this whole debacle we've been talking about this whole time. So it's not about you. It's my own trauma. I'm sorry if someone has felt body shamed. It was never my intention.
But, you know, okay, so there's this thing of, like, how, this is, I don't know how to approach this. This should maybe be an entire different cup of tea. But I was talking to my cousin one time, another cousin. There's one of many cousins. 3 today. And she one time, like, I know that I think everywhere the whole like summer body, bikini body thing, like having to perpetually live on a diet sort of thing is embedded in like women's culture, sort of, yeah. And
well, I think we're getting better, you know, because now it's the whole like everybody's a beach body.
Yeah, yeah, and so with that sort of thing in mind, I was talking to her one day, and she was telling me that she was not feeling like she had been going to the gym and trying to eat better and like all these things, but she was not liking how her body looked. And she would tell me like, I don't know how you are so body confident. And I said, you know, like, I mean, I am aware of like my weaknesses, I think. And I think that comes a lot from the dancing thing and like viewing your body as your instrument sort of thing.
It's so pretty.
Where you learn to appreciate it and what it does for you and care for it and all that stuff. And there are things like I am aware that like, you know how you were saying like, yeah, I was a chubby kid, no, not anymore. Like, you know, I was also a chubby kid, and like that sort of stopped. And then, I mean, I've never not been a chubby kid, I guess. Yeah, I don't know where I was going, but anyway, my point is that I am there are things about my body that I would like to change, and that I am working to change. But all in all, I would say that I am, body confident, because I know of what, like, I know how it works, and I know what I can do, and, like, you know, all these cool things. And there's this thing where, like, we were talking about it and everything, and I started thinking about the whole being body positive and not fat shaming people and that sort of thing, which I am totally for. Yeah, fat shaming should not be a thing. However, and I saw this recently as well, somewhere, I don't think we should be promoting a culture where being super overweight is good.
I agree.
That is not a thing.
Yeah, I agree. I have this physiotherapist friend. Yeah. And I think at some point she shared on her Instagram or something on Facebook, or I don't know, but I think it was her, of like the scanned image of like a healthy body and an overweight body, and like how you see all the issues kind of the overweight. And this, I think it was on a post about like this magazine with someone overweight on their cover. And it was this conversation of like, it's not about, because there's so many different shapes of body, but that doesn't mean then being overweight should be a thing. Yeah. I guess, you know, it's probably because of the shaming. If instead of shaming, it was a different approach of like health, you know, then then it could be about support and not shame. Because, okay, you're seeing this person and you know that it's not healthy for them to be the way they are, but then you shame them, and that's what's wrong.
Yeah.
And so, like, when you were talking about, when you said your body is your instrument and caring for it, I was like, you know what? Yes, beauty is caring and health is caring. You know, beauty is health. So I think if our mindset is to be healthy, that makes us beautiful.
Yeah. Because I always, and that was like the thing that I have been thinking about lately a lot. And I think I told you about this. This whole like about, I don't know, maybe, you know, like, this is a whole other cup of tea.
I mean, it could be a long special episode.
Yeah.
Or we can cut it into whichever one we end up doing.
But yeah, let's maybe make a part 2. This is gonna be a 2-part cup of tea.
I don't know what's gonna happen for sure.
But yeah, so anyway, I was thinking about a year ago that when I was living on my own in Sweden and everything, I had this like pretty good routine of like, I know what I am eating and I know what I'm like doing for my body. And like, I couldn't maybe dance as much, but you know, I keep dancing. I walk a lot more. There's all these things that I'm doing like for my body, and it's showing, and like I'm seeing that. And then I came back, and after I finished college and I sort of got mildly depressed, I saw all of that go to waste, you know? And so I got to this point where I was telling my dance teacher, like, I want to do something to train to dance better, like improve my dancing and like, you know, to help my body and like all that sort of thing. And so she helped me do this challenge where I had to do an insanity workout every day, which is something that I mentioned in a previous cup of tea. You should listen to it
if you haven't.
And so that sort of got me into this track of, okay, let's be healthier, right? And on the same sort of train of thought of like, it's okay to not fat shame people, but also don't aim to be fat. That's like health-wise.
Because if the body positivity is in the way of you being healthy, then that's when it's not okay.
Yeah. So, and that's where so there's this show that I don't know that it exists anymore called The Biggest Loser, where people would go on these like crazy diets and work out insanely. And some of them like lost, I don't know, half their weight or something crazy. And I was looking at a study that they made about those people, and many of them gained the weight back and even more.
Oh.
Yeah, because of how the body works, where, you know, there's all these hormones involved in the process. And so you have, of course, somebody who is an actual doctor, please tell me if I am wrong about this. But the way it sort of works is you have, you know, like muscle cells and you have fat cells. And the fat cells cannot be destroyed.
Okay.
Like they can multiply and they can become more and they can shrink, but they don't disappear.
Die.
Yeah, like they don't die.
Okay.
Or something like that. Yeah, again, correct me if I'm wrong. Fact check me. So for these people, like those fat cells shrunk when they were in the program. And then once they got out of it, because they couldn't sustain the same level of working out and eating healthy, all those fat cells that they had just grew back up again. And they ended up being way worse than they were. Not all of them, but many of them. I think the majority. So you are fighting, when you're on this like weight loss / being healthy journey, you are fighting like biology, and that is a hard thing to do. Like that is a bitch to do. So I understand the like But it's not that easy being healthy thing. And yeah, it is not that easy. When you're in this like culture that we're living in where it's so much easier to just buy a pizza rather than cooking a healthy meal, right? Of course you're going to go for the pizza because they're also delicious, right?
They are. You could make a healthier version of it. So I think it's like the convenience.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, I understand where somebody who might be listening to us could be like, oh, but you're making it sound like so easy to be healthy.
Are we?
And like, I don't know. I just like that's
that's
the voice in the back of my head. And we're not. We're just like trying to be positive about it.
Yeah, because it's not just fat shaming and stuff. I hope this doesn't come out as not snobby, because the word is not snobby. Entitled? No, I don't know. You tell me.
An asshole.
Not even. That's your department. No. You can tell me what the word is.
Yeah.
I have struggled with the other side of the coin, and being too skinny.
Yeah.
I first started losing weight, not intentionally, because I had a lot of acne, and I started taking the pill.
Oh, right, yeah.
And the pill that I was taking sort of drained me, and it took away my acne, but it also made me skinny. And though when I first started taking it, I was like 17 or something, maybe before that. And about 2 years in of taking it, I was so skinny, not like crazy, in my bones, like not that level of skinny, but my mom was getting worried, and I was like, I don't like it. And it became a conversation in my family. And I just mean like my brothers, maybe my nephew and my niece, once they were a little older, and my mom, especially my mom, where whenever she would see me or my brother, they were very vocal about, you're too skinny, you need to eat better, you need to eat more, you don't look good, that kind of stuff. Yeah. And that also got to me. And I've lived alone for around 6 years. Mm-hmm. And I struggle so much when it comes to my food. Because you and I were talking about the other day that I am not a foodie. No. I can enjoy food. Like, sure, yeah. Every now and then I'll get a craving for like a veggie burger or a pizza or something. Yes. But I don't like to cook. Yeah. I cook to survive. Yes. I do not like being in the kitchen.
That is the thing. That is
and I'm also not a good eater. I can go from like, oh, I'm super hungry and I'll eat a bunch. Yeah. Or most of the time, what it usually is in my life is that I don't get hungry a lot.
Join us as we continue this conversation in part 2 next week. Thanks for sharing a cup of tea with us. Send us your comments using the hashtag acotcast, and remember to subscribe to get fresh episodes every week. To watch more episodes of A Cup of Tea, click the link on the right. If you want to watch Pockets in the Universe, go to the playlist on the left.